Hello everybody, this is Miranda the Hybrid, and welcome to today's Art Talk. So, critique. This is, I don't want to say controversial, but there are some people who do know how to give a critique, and some people who don't. Now, I know when somebody gives you a critique, they're not trying to be nasty. They're seeing what they don't like or what they think needs to be improved about a picture. But personally, if you're an artist and you have something you're really proud of and somebody rips it apart, you feel sad. Let's be honest. I have some horror stories from when I was in the Cleveland Institute of Art. My very first year, I was in an introductory design course with a very good professor. He taught very well. Let's just call him Professor F at the moment. And I had some of my harshest critiques. One of them was so harsh that he literally held up my picture in front of everybody and said, he was like mocking it and deriding me in front of the entire class. And it hurt, and I was embarrassed because I was one of the better artists in the class at certain points. And I had a clever idea. I thought it was a clever idea, and I was proud of it. But the thing that he critiqued, because it was basically, I drew a room and I cut out where the windows were so that you could put it up to any environment. You could see through the windows of the room. And I was very nervous. It was my first year. I didn't know how to present. And so in front of the entire class, I put it up in front of a messy old white board to demonstrate. And he ripped into me. Oh my God, he ripped into me. It was awful. Or like, for instance, to make the windows, instead of just leaving them open and clear, I taped saran wrap to the back to make it look like glass. I didn't have any other materials. I'm a poor art student. What am I going to do? And he also critiqued that. And so in front of the entire class, it just tore into me. And I tried not to cry. And then afterwards, when the next person's critique came up, I sat in the back of the class and I tore my piece of art into small pieces and threw it into the garbage can. And then after class was done, I ran to the botanical gardens nearby, went into the Japanese garden, and bawled my eyes out. The way he critiqued is not a good way to give a critique. So, you learn better when people tell you what you're doing right. That's the first thing I want to say. We're going to put it up on screen because it's that important. You learn better when you know what you're doing right, because it gives you a path and a guide road to go into the correct direction. If you sit and people just tell you what you're doing wrong, then that just leaves you another 1,000 directions you could be going in. It's like herding sheep versus guiding one. If you tell somebody what they're doing correctly, it's like putting a leash on the sheep and gently, letting it come down the path. If you're herding sheep, you're trying to manage them and make them go in whatever direction you want, except for these directions. And so they're still going like this and bouncing off the sides. This is important with critiques. If you see somebody, a younger artist perhaps, or you want to help your peers, and you see that they're doing something really cool, but you see some parts that are wrong, the first thing I want you to do is say, hey, that looks really cool. I want you to compliment them. And then give them another compliment. And then you guide into something that you may see you want to improve. Say they're drawing one of their OCs, and it has good color, and the line work is very well done, but their hand anatomy is not as good as it could be. Hand anatomy is like an Achilles heel for a lot of people. And so what you do, it's called a critique sandwich. This is actually a literate term. A legitimate term? Oh my God. It's a legitimate term that I learned from one of my professors, actually, or my father, one of the two. A figure in my life I look up to. Critique sandwich. First, you have the base, the bread, the compliment. Then you have the critique. And make it kind and make it constructive. And I'll talk about constructive critique in a moment. And then you have another compliment. And so that is your critique sandwich. It's important to make this a sandwich because people will be more likely to listen to you, to accept and try to improve if they also know they're doing things correctly. So say you're critiquing Shelley and she's drawn her OC, a fox with wings, something like that. And so you go up and you're like, Shelley, I really love your coloring work. That fur looks amazing. Good job. But the anatomy on the hands or paws is a little bit off, and maybe we could improve on that. Oh, but also, I really love the line work. That's way more palatable. It's a sandwich. Remember that. Make your critique palatable, a critique sandwich. And so what about the meat in the middle, though, that criticism that you gave? How do you make that an acceptable criticism? Well, first off, you don't go, wow, I hate that. That's awful. You suck. I can't believe you're trying to be an artist or whatever craft the person's trying to be in. That's obviously a big no-no. What you want to do is you want to offer them a way to improve. Say something along the lines of, make it soft, make it a bit more gentle. Your hand anatomy is a little bit off. I noticed maybe if you extended the fingers a little bit this way, or maybe use reference, because the rest of the picture is so good, this is the last little bit you have to improve. Now, this sounds easy in concept, but then you might see another part that you don't like. Maybe the eye isn't as round as it could be. I want you to take that part of your brain and shut it up. Especially for younger artists. Now, if you're an older artist, like in college, for instance, I went through so many heart-wrenching critiques in college. But if you're, especially in the younger crowd, you want to be gentle with each other. You guys are still building up your personalities. I know some of you want to be like, rip my heart out, tell me what's going wrong, I want to improve. And if you're one of those kind of people, that's fine. But you don't know if somebody else is, and you need to respect their emotions and their feelings. I made mistakes before and I critiqued people too hard. And it usually didn't end well. In fact, it ended a friendship in one situation. But I don't want you guys making those mistakes. I want you to just be able to give a critique, make it gentle, make it smooth, make it constructive. So, there was a point in time, and I'm trying to do this again before TikTok is banned, where I was doing critiques of my followers' art on TikTok. And there was one that I did very well, and it got a lot of views. And here, we're going to watch it right here, so you can see what I said and what I did. And then we'll go through it step by step, so you can see why it worked. This is video number 3 of me critiquing my followers' art. These two pictures are both done by the Cookie Vampiress. I'm immediately attracted to the lack of line, and a rather unique stylization you have going for you. It's pretty polished, and you seem to know what you want. This picture itself is pretty solid. I don't have much to say about it. Maybe to make Garnet pop out a bit more, have higher contrast between this background purple and her colors themselves. She's kind of getting lost in all the tones here. There might be a slight overuse of texture too. See these little dots back here, and then you have them on the grass, and then you have some texture on your background. Adding too much detail sometimes loses your focal point. Your focal point should be Garnet, but my eye keeps jumping all over the place. For this one, same thing. Everything is a similar tone. If we turn it black and white, the character gets a little bit lost, especially in this area here and here. So my tip is when you start these, make sure to occasionally go black and white. In this situation, make your background a little bit darker and make your highlights a little bit brighter to make her pop out. An addition of golden light would make it pop out even more from the purple. Overall, very good. Okay, so what did I do in there? What I did is I started off by not critiquing her personal style. I think she has a great art style. I went into small details, contrast, things that distracted from the full picture. And sure, I didn't exactly do a critique sandwich in this situation, but the critiques I made were gentle. It wasn't a, your art is bad, this is making it bad. I used specific language to make sure that she couldn't take it in offense. Or, essentially just be gentle with what you say. Art is very, very personal to somebody. They put a lot of time learning how to do it. Another point that helped is that it was constructive criticism. It was, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, you're doing this right, adjust these, and it'll make your picture better. It wasn't listen, you're doing this wrong, everything's wrong, you're wrong. It's constructive. You need to give the people tools on how to improve. So it's a little bit difficult. Don't take this personally. It's a little bit difficult to give a critique if you don't know what you're talking about. For instance, I wouldn't give somebody who does pottery a critique on their pottery, because I don't know anything about pottery. I mean, I know how to make a bowl, and that's about it. I don't know about the kiln process, about the crap you dip it into to make it shiny. Or, I wouldn't critique somebody on how they build a car engine, because frankly, I don't know that much about it, even though I like cars. So if you're a younger artist, and you know your crap about something, like for instance, you're really good with watercolor, and you see one of your peers struggling with watercolor, then go ahead and help them. Give them small critiques and tell them how to fix it. That's so important. Don't just say that sucks. Say, this can be adjusted, and here, let me show you how, and this is how you can make it better. This is the reason why I'm comfortable giving critiques on digital art, because I've been doing it since I was 13 years old. I've been doing it for a decade. Okay, but I've been doing it for a decade, and especially with Procreate and Photoshop, I'm pretty good. And so that's why I feel comfortable doing it. I'm saying, if you see one of your peers or one of your friends drawing, and you don't know how to help them correct their technique either, try not to give them too harsh of a critique. Because if you don't know how to fix the problem, if you're just pointing out the problem, then that's probably not going to make them feel too good. So if you know how to fix a problem, say you are amazing with hands, drawing them, I mean. Say you are amazing with hands, and you see that their hand anatomy is wrong. Go ahead, help them. But remember, compliment, helping and critique, compliment, done. Palatable. So I hope that helped at least a little bit. Remember, be kind, guide them in the correct direction. Do not herd them away from all the wrong directions. One is way more efficient and a lot nicer. And 3, try not giving a critique if you don't know what you're talking about, because that'll make them upset and that'll make you look like an idiot. So I hope this helped. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, because one of the Art Block Fridays is going to be uploaded. Progress is being made on the PIRANTINA webtoon for those of you who follow it, and there will be another chapter uploaded, because I've finally gotten myself back into gear, and we are doing things. I'm just going full awkward right now. I'm gonna finish drinking my coffee. I will see you guys either tomorrow or next Art Talk video. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.